Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I'm coming to you live today from Portland, Oregon. Trey Griggs here with Beta Consulting Group, the sales and marketing strategist looking out for you. Go to our website and check out what we have to offer at betaconsultinggroup.com. Lots of great services there on your marketing and your sales and your branding, messaging, all those types of things. So excited about what we're doing there. And today we got a great show. Oh my gosh, today's going to be a fabulous show. We've had an incredible week so far. We had some awesome guests. We had Paul Bernard Jaroslawski on Monday. That guy killed it, talking about his new podcast and work with Freight Caviar. And then, of course, just the rest of the week, it's going to be awesome. My sales manager for my very first job on Friday. So got a lot of great guests coming up here on the show. And of course, today, I'm super excited because you guys know this guy as the strongest man in logistics. He is a business and strategy consultant for Metaphora, my good friends over there. And I'm excited today to welcome on the show, Robert Beefcake Bain, the strongest man in logistics. Look at those guns. Look at those pipes. What's up, bro? How are you doing, man?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good to have you on the show. Looks like you just worked out. I mean, the shoulders look ripped, ready to go.
I mean, it's a state of being, but yeah, I got a little pump in this morning. The wife's downstairs in the fitness center here at the hotel, and but yeah, I got a little workout in before we got on today.
Nice. So we are both on location today. So
hmm
normally we're Chicago, St. Louis, and
hmm
today you're Orlando
I am.
on the East Coast, enjoying some time there in Orlando. Some Walt Disney time and spring break. You're a courageous man, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am.
Universal and spring break mix well for some people, but definitely not for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's a rough time to go. I mean, the lines are usually long anyways, but that's a pretty brutal time. Well, good luck
Yeah,
with
it's rough.
that. Hope you guys
Thanks,
have a
man.
good time. I'm up in Portland, Oregon this week. My brother-in-law turned 50 and wanted to go to watch March Madness up here in Portland, Oregon, and he wanted me to go with him, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to pass that up. So tomorrow we're going to go watch Gonzaga play here in Portland, and
Nice.
Boise State and some other teams, and also on Saturday. So it's going to be a great time to be back in my old stomping grounds here in Portland, where it all started for me 12 years ago. And speaking of which, the lady who hired me
hmm
back 12 years ago for a sales and marketing position, straight out of being a teacher, probably wondered what the heck am I doing applying for her sales position as a 32-year-old former teacher. She hired me right here in Portland, Oregon. So it's kind of nice to be back and have her on the show on Friday, right here from where where it all started 12 years ago.
It's
So
beautiful.
pretty cool. Yeah, coming full
Beautiful. Love
circle
it.
with everything. All right, man. Well, hey, listen, you and I have been friends for a while now.
Yeah, we have.
I can't remember when we met, but it's been a while. I think it was back when I was trying to sell you stuff
I think it was
when I
trucker
was at
tools.
Trucker Tools. That's right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you were at
yeah.
Quad in
Yep.
Chicago
Yep. We
and
had
came
the
into your
evil layer you
office.
came into. Yep.
That's right. Yeah. I went in there and sat down in your office. And it was interesting because from the very first conversation, I could tell that, we had some chemistry, we had some common interests and
Yep.
thought a lot alike, a lot of philosophies, a lot of like-mindedness and all that. So it's been a nice little run here for the past 4 years. You've made a couple of moves.
Mhm,
I've made a couple of moves, but
mhm.
altogether, we've found each other again. And when it really started to take off, I think was word on the street.
Absolutely.
Whenever
Absolutely.
that happened. I mean, that's just a phenomenal community. And for those of you that don't know, word on the street is every Friday at noon. It's a logistics lunch. Essentially, we didn't want to eat lunch alone during the pandemic, and the people that are on that show, I mean, the content is just absolutely tremendous. I love being the host because I just get to ask you guys questions and listen, and
The
it's just fun.
horsepower in that group is incredible. And no matter who rotates in and out with this group of 10 that we have now, it's unreal. Off the charts.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about that show, so it's a unique show. If you haven't watched it before, you definitely need to watch it, guys out there watching the show today. But if you haven't watched it, I send an invite out to about 40 people every week. I have no idea who's going to show up.
hmm
So literally when we go live, I mean, it's just off the cuff. I mean, it is authentic as you can get.
hmm
Great conversation. But what I love about that group more than anything is not only are people, just incredibly sharp and very well experienced in the logistics space, but they're also in many ways quite like-minded. And we have we have a way about us of communicating or talking about controversial issues in a non-controversial way. It's refreshing.
hmm
It's so exciting.
I
So
mean,
I'm glad
except
you're
me,
part of
I'd throw my tinfoil hat on, and
it.
that's the
But you know what?
fun.
But the thing is that even when you do, like, you share your opinion, but you'll listen to other people's opinion. I think that's the difference. It's not backing away from your opinion.
Mhm.
It's being willing to listen to somebody else's opinion. And that's what that group is all about. So
Absolutely.
I love that. Absolutely love that group. So Friday at noon Central, 1 Eastern, come check it out. We got a special guest. We got a timely guest on Word on the Street. You might not even know who it is. Well, you might if you looked at the calendar invite, but it's going to be great. We're going to have Ann Rinke on from TIA to talk about the
Nice.
upcoming TIA show that's going to be lit in San Diego. Very excited about that.
We're both going to be there.
Both going to be there. I think there's going to, like, right now they're at like 1,200 attended or registered
I
attendees,
saw something
which is
like
awesome.
1,500 now. Like it's a big number.
It's moving up in that direction. I think they're planning on being around 1,500 come
Yeah,
the conference time, which is April 6th through 9th. So yeah,
that's
it's
exciting.
gonna be a great show. A lot of friends out there we haven't seen in a while.
Hmm.
The dream team is back together for the golf tournament, for the truckstop.com golf tournament. So, that's going to be fun as well. So it's going to be a good week. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
That's for
absolutely,
sure. That's for sure.
absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, let's talk about a couple of things related to sales and
Mhm.
marketing. But before we do that,
Yeah,
today's a big day, my
it is a
friend.
big day.
Today's a
It
big
is.
day.
It is.
So tell everybody what today is.
So today is March 16th, and for those who don't know me outside of the logistics industry, yeah, it's my birthday today. My moniker is Bain 316. I use it as a callback to Austin 316. Is a big wrestling fan, but also because it is my birthday. And this lady right here is my mom. Carol Bain is incredible. She is a saint. She is the person that taught me what it meant to love people, what it meant to engage with people, and why it's important to always believe in those around you, and to yes, have a very wide reach, but have a very tight circle and make sure that you have those incredible people around you. And so, my mom is amazing. She's been my biggest cheerleader literally since day one. And this is actually us in December at my first pro level meet. I also like to show this to people is like, yes, my mom is really small. So there was a time when I was much smaller, and it's reasonable that I came out of her. And so, but yeah,
That's one tough lady. What's your mom's name?
her name's Carol.
Carol. Very cool. That's a neat
Yep.
picture. I love how it started, how it's going. Memes. That's always good. And that picture on the right there, that was from a recent competition, I believe. Correct?
Yeah, it's December. Yep. Yep. That was my first
Very
pro
cool.
meet. Yep.
So, well, first of all, happy birthday.
Thanks,
I
man.
would sing you happy birthday, but that might be weird. So we'll pass on that for today.
We
Maybe
actually had
next.
random people in line at Universal singing me happy birthday.
Nice.
It was
so,
awesome. It was
so
so cool.
you've gotten your fill of happy birthday, which is
Yeah.
great. But let's talk a little bit about who you are and what you do. So give a quick intro, and then talk about the powerlifting that you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So on the personal side, my name is Robert Bain. I live in the Chicagoland area. My wife Nicole and I have been married almost 17 years. We have 4 kids.
Hold on.
They are
When's your anniversary?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. So coming up.
Yep. Yes.
17 years coming
Yes.
up. I'm June
Yep.
18th coming out 17 years. So we're
Nice.
living we're
Nice.
living a parallel life, my friend. Minus the
Yeah.
weightlifting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yours is just different. It's all it is. It's very
Mine is
different.
different. That's right.
Yeah. We have 4 kids. They are 18, 16, 13, and 12. We also have 3 cats and a dog. My dog is awesome. I love my dog. Uh, I've been around the logistics and transportation space for going on 16 years now. Started my career at CRST. I worked in operations there and then moved to the Chicagoland area and really kind of kickstarted my career there. Worked in a couple startup brokerages, one that through a couple of iterations ended up getting bought out by Blue Grace Logistics, so a large 3PL based in Florida, a few other offices around the U.S. And then I actually ran a private carrier for about 5 years and helped grow that. It was an incredible experience based in Waukegan, Illinois. Really was my first foray into leadership and really like sales management and that type of stuff. And then I was part of the first group of industry hires at Uber. Helped grow that into the monster folks know it is today. Then a couple steps along the way, I was a VP of operations at Quad. That's where you and I met.
Hmm.
And then also helped sell technology around the transportation space with a company based in Austin before I came here to Metaphora. And
Nice.
uh, been here for a little over a year. It's been awesome. I get to leverage all these different experience from sales, customer management, customer account management, and carrier engagement through across our clients. So it's been really, really fun.
Very cool. You were at Uber before Uber Freight was really a thing back in the day.
They were just starting to make a splash. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a huge team. It wasn't small. I think I want to say we had just crossed over triple digits as far as total uh, folks in the org. And what an incredible collection of people. I mean, really, like the folks, and a lot of those folks have moved on, are doing really really great things. And met my mentor Chris Glatzbach, one of the most incredible humans I've ever known. But really was an awesome experience to be there to do.
Very forward-thinking people, which is great to be around,
Absolutely,
for sure. And
absolutely.
Mark Monera, thanks for joining us. Definitely the strongest
What's up,
man in
buddy?
logistics. That's
Yeah.
right. The recent lift you did, by the way. So you've been doing powerlifting for how long now? And
Mhm.
recently you squatted 1,019, unofficial because it wasn't at
Yeah,
an
it was training.
event,
It was in training.
but
Yep.
1,019 was the squat. So talk a little about your powerlifting and how that
Yeah.
impacts your mentality, and then we'll
Mhm.
roll into sales.
Yeah, so I've been lifting like just for sport since I was 18. Believe it or not, I was like 150 pounds when I graduated high school. I'm not that now.
Don't believe it. Gotta see a
Yeah,
picture.
I've sent you guys pictures. I've literally
You
sent
did.
you
We
pictures.
saw it. A little soccer
Uh,
picture. That's right.
yeah, yeah. No one cares about soccer. Uh, so yeah, as I started doing that, and then I got into powerlifting. Actually, 8 years ago today was my very first meet. Uh,
Really? Wow.
yeah,
So
yeah, I did my first
316 is a
meet.
big day. Your birthday, the
It is.
powerlifting,
It is, man. It's kind
your
of
handle. Yeah, yeah.
kind of a rebirth was that because that's when I found this really cool calling as far as like strength. I've always been interested in fitness, always been interested in that, and just maintaining a healthy lifestyle. But I saw this extreme version of strength, and I always was interested in that. I watched like World's Strongest Man growing up with my dad, and we joke about it. But I said that last week on Word on the Street. Moderation is for cowards, and I always like to do things to the extreme, and that can be, potentially consequential depending on what it is I'm doing. But I really wanted to do that when it comes to strength, and I saw these people that were lifting these incredible weights. I said, I want to do this now. I want to compete in this. I want to transfer my energy outside of work and outside of my family to this because I always wanted to be in the pursuit of something. I always thought it was important for my kids to see their parents in the pursuit of something bigger than just a every other Friday type thing. Like it wasn't just about money. There is no money in powerlifting, so it's definitely not about that. But it was about setting these goals and being able to strive and attain them and deal with adversity sometimes. And so in my case, having dealt with injuries as well. And so I wanted my kids to see that. And I always want to make sure that they were able to see whatever it is I was doing. I was playing soccer, lifting, whatever. And so it's now progressed to I've got two kind of big tracks that I work in. One is my own lifting, the other is spotting platform management. I actually started a whole thing around that called the Full Send Initiative with my good buddy Kyle O'Leary, where we go out and we actually teach, we put out content, we actually teach platform crews how to spot properly for huge weights, different scenarios. You have a lifter who's really short, really tall. You've got big weights going on. You've got different types of equipment. And so we've been spreading the word on that and trying to keep safe platforms. It's really cool over the last year or so, and seeing like the numbers even starting to rise now because people understand like there's a competent crew around me and I can really just send it and put those big numbers up. So, and then on my own training, I've always wanted to be as strong as I could be, and thankfully I've been very blessed on the genetic front that I'm 40 years old. I'm stronger than I've ever been, and my body continues to excel and produce the way it's supposed to. And so yeah, I've recently, before I came down to Florida, I wanted to make sure I hit a pretty big number and know we've got a really good baseline going into nationals, senior nationals this year in June. So I've got some really, really stiff competition in my weight class. And so I squatted 1,019 pounds. The Thursday before that, I benched 565. And my shirt was very, very loose. Like I have to actually have my shirt redone because the way my body composition's changed. And I think I've pulled 675 probably a dozen times now this year for deadlifting. That's that slang for pulling. And so yeah, the lift is going good. It's really awesome. It's the numbers are
Staggering. Let's just say
staggering to
staggering.
right, but I'm used to. I just have different context because like you've seen pictures of the people I train with. Like I'm a small guy
Yeah, they're
compared to them,
huge.
so it's kind
Yes.
of crazy. But it's really cool because none of that stuff happens without this daily progression and this really boring. Like no one wants to see. All right, we've got to go get on the reverse hyper. We have to do 5 sets of 20, and we've got to do it. Like no one cares. But it's doing those things when no one cares and no one's watching. And this is kind of goes into like sales marketing and I just work in business in general. That is the stuff that takes you from hey, lifting weight sounds cool to I can regularly squat 800, 900 and 1,000 pounds is kind of never out of the question. On a good squatting day. And so there's levels and there's layers to it, and it's cool to that's now translating to different areas of my life where you're able to do these things when no one cares, no one's watching, no one's checking on you. But it's all the difference. It's those tiny
I'm
tiny things.
I'm pretty sure my 170-pound frame would just buckle under 1,000 pounds trying to squat.
I mean,
That would not be
right
pretty to
now,
watch.
absolutely. But here's the thing: when you do, it's no different than sales. And because think about this: if you had your first job 12 years ago, and your manager says, "Oh, by the way, we're going to fly you to Atlanta, and you're going to be sitting in the boardroom with the CEO, the CIO, and the CTO of Coke, and you got to
Yeah,
sell them." Yeah, same
you're
thing. You're going to
freaking out a little
crumble,
bit.
right?
That's
You're
right.
going to freak out. But listen, when you got it like that, and when you've done the work and you know what you're doing, you can walk into that room
Mhm.
confidently and say, okay, I can bring value to our organization, and here's how.
Yeah, I love that. And
So
there's
it's no different.
And there's so much gold in what you just said. I mean, I feel like we could unpack it all day. The one thing I love that
Hmm.
you said is you want your kids to watch you chasing something and to putting in
Hmm.
the work, like seeing you go after something, seeing you struggle, going through challenges. And one of your daughters is actually lifting with you, correct?
Yeah, Lily does. And I can brag on Lily all day. She's incredible. She is. world champion powerlifter. I've coached her for the last few years. She's
She's
an elite level.
14, 15. Is that right?
She's 16.
She's 16. Sorry. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Elite level gymnast. She was an all mention all state as a sophomore, which was incredible. Two-time letter winner at her high school, and we're super proud of that. I wish she could go to class every now and then, but she does everything else pretty good. She's a model. She was the youngest person to walk in New York Fashion Week this past year, 2021.
Wow. I'm learning
Yeah, I
things
mean,
today I didn't know, because you don't brag this much on her on Word of the Street. I mean, I know a few of those things, but not all of those. That's cool.
I usually don't all pack it all together. Usually it's like intermittent, like, oh, here's things Lily's doing. And then she's been developing this TikTok following and trying to monetize that. And so Lily's dope. I mean, my other kids do incredible things. My oldest son just got accepted to college, so he's going off next year. He graduates in May. My youngest son
Congrats.
Nolan,
Nice.
he's building this huge YouTube following. He likes to draw. He loves art, and our youngest daughter.
Isn't it amazing? Sorry, go ahead with your youngest daughter first, and then I've got
Yeah.
a comment.
No, you're good. You're good. Ella is, she's finding who she is. What was really cool is she's unapologetically her. So like she's finding what her passion is going to be. But Ella is unapologetically Ella. She is a giver of hugs. She's a lover of people, and
She has cool hair too.
Oh, she absolutely does. It's so dope. And she has this enormous personality that is only dwarfed by her enormous heart, and I love that.
That's awesome. It's amazing how kids can really spread their wings nowadays and find kind of these new outlets that didn't even exist when we were growing up. And when we were growing up, it was baseball, basketball, football, and maybe something else.
Yeah,
maybe
not
music,
soccer.
Some sort. Not soccer. I didn't play soccer. No, nobody cares about soccer. That's right.
Yes.
That's how it works. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see how it's happening, and they're learning skills of like entrepreneurship. I mean, you're like learning how to monetize a YouTube channel or whatever that is. And I think it's amazing that they get to watch an example of you doing those kind of things. That's one of the greatest jobs that we have is as a parent, is helping our kids figure that stuff out. And it's really cool that they're watching you do things, and then they're trying to find their own way and do that. And there's just so many outlets. It's just so cool to see.
Yeah, it's been really dope, and one of the cool serendipities of this life that my wife and I have built together over the last 20 years being together and 17 years of marriage is these kids now have access to these incredible humans as well. So it's not just me. Is they, like my daughters, they get access to the strongest women in the world.
The group,
and,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and my kids see like the Word on the Street crew, and they
sometimes jump on in the background.
They do occasionally. Yeah,
I know. We've talked to them before.
And you guys have seen their personality is much like mine. They love the spotlight, and they're all for it.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and it's been great to. They then go talk to their friends. Their friends don't necessarily have that type of experience. Like, wow, like your life is dope. I'm like, yes, my life is dope, and I do dope stuff.
I love that. Do you have a shirt? You have a shirt for that? Don't you have a shirt?
I do. Yes, it doesn't say stuff. I wasn't sure. Wasn't sure if we could swear on the show yet. So
my life is dope, and I do dope.
Dope.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes, I do.
This audience might be different than the Word on the Street audience.
I share that with my good friend Ryan Schreiber, and we have that shirt together.
Of course. I love that dude. Love her. Shout out to Ryan Schreiber.
Oh yeah.
All right. So something else I want to unpack that you said, this is really good, and I think this will help a lot of people, is the mentality that you talked about. Putting in the work when nobody's watching, doing the things daily. I mean, when you think about lifting, if you take a day or two off, that impacts your performance. It impacts your training, but nobody sees the drives to the gym. Nobody sees the 2 hours that you're working out and doing things. When you're in Orlando going to Disney World, nobody sees you getting up early or staying up late, whatever your schedule is, to get in your list, to get in your training. Talk about that mentality, and then let's transition to sales, because that's like to me, that's like the Mamba mentality. Like nobody's going to outwork you. Nobody's going to beat you. And it often happens in the shadows when people aren't watching, when the work is actually put in. Talk a little about the mindset of being, a world champion power lifter, and how that impacts sales.
So I always know in my head, and I'll talk lifting, and then we'll translate it to business. I always know in my head that I've got two things chasing me. I've got people that I don't know, and so I have to outwork people that I'm not seen to. But also I have to outrun Father Time, which I never will. Father Time's undefeated. And so especially now, like there's a 4 in front of my age, I know that my window
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, right. But I know my window is dwindling. And so to know that my time as an elite lifter and as an elite athlete, there's a whole lot more behind me than there is ahead of me. And so that's one of the things that drives me. And the same thing, like at the end of the day, like, I have a kid who's graduating high school, in a few months. And yeah, you're telling me, man. And then I've got other kid 2 years from now is going to be graduating high school. And so I know that at some point it's gonna be me and my wife, and like, what am I gonna look back on when it comes to life? I'm gonna have this business impact, hopefully, that I have, but then also like I've got a level of lifestyle that I want to have too, and so there's a level of success you have to attain, and so it's you have to do those things because ultimately, like your time's gonna run out, and what do you have left at the end of that? And it's going to be hopefully some great memories, but hopefully like something to show for it. And from a lifting perspective, it's going to be a bunch of plastic trophies, a couple cool scars. Um, but hopefully it's going to be that this guy was an amazing lifter, but he was a good person, and he gave back to the sport. And then on the business side, it's going to be this guy, took his knowledge and took his insight and took his information, and he provided value to every person that he interacted with. And that ultimately is how you're going to get paid, by the way. It's not necessarily a straight dollar for dollar figure. It's the amount of value that you
Hmm.
inject into the relationships that you have and into the network that you have is ultimately how you're going to be compensated. Ultimately, the legacy you're going to leave. And that's what I want to do is I want to leave a legacy. It's like, listen, the guy had a big personality, great traps, good shoulders, always spoke his mind, but ultimately he was a great person and he left an incredible legacy of doing things differently and doing things better.
Well, without a doubt, you're on your way to that legacy. I've seen it myself, just how you treat people, how you treat your family, how you treat clients and your coworkers, and the teams that you've built around you that are just phenomenal people. I feel like you can always tell the quality of a person by who they surround themselves with.
Absolutely.
And you've certainly done a phenomenal job of that. And I'm blessed to be in that circle to be able to learn from you and do those kind of things. But I love when you're talking about thinking about your legacy and thinking about what you want to attain and how you're going to get there. And when it comes to sales in particular, I know this, like when I started getting in shape back in 2012, my performance in sales went through the roof.
Hmm.
We've got other people who are, in sales that we know, Hayden Allred, who's working, that guy's phenomenal as well. You don't have to necessarily like work out or do these kind of things to be great in sales, but man, when you have your mind right, which
Hmm.
let's be honest, you have to have your mind right in order to get your body in shape. Because
Hmm.
living in America, it's set up for us to fail. The food is terrible. We drive everywhere. We don't walk anywhere. Nobody exercises unless you intentionally go to a gym or do something like that. It's
Exercise,
just
exercise, exercise. Yes, exercise. That's what I want.
exercise. That's right. And so it's not set up for us to be fit. So if you're fit, you have to mentally get your mind right. But
Hmm.
that translates into being sharp when it comes to your job, especially when it comes to sales, being competitive and doing the little things on a daily basis that are going to help you achieve in sales, because sales
Hmm.
really is a long game. And some sales cycles are shorter than others.
Sure.
Some sales cycles are longer. But unless you put in the work, you're going to struggle to have a longevity in sales, a successful career beyond maybe getting a couple of sales off the bat. So, let's talk about mindset for a minute when it comes to sales and, how people approach their job, how they approach the small things, the
Hmm.
little details, the
Yep.
follow-ups, the calls, the emails, the attention to details. Those things are pretty critical when it comes to success in sales.
Absolutely. And those little things are going to be. It's simple, but it's not easy. That's really what it comes down to. Like you mentioned already, it's simple to stay in shape. Like, listen, like you eat smaller portions, go to the gym, you get some movement in, like, but there's also a biological response that comes with that, and you create additional synapse response and additional connection to your mind, which then translates into kind of being focused on those little things. Because when you focus on the little things outside of work, it's easier to focus on inside work. And so, to your point, it's going to be, always thinking of what can I do to unlock more questions and more conversation with people? And again, not making it weird. Like that's the big. It's really easy to make things weird with like when you're trying to sell something. It's like no, you just want to have a conversation with people.
Hmm.
And that's why those simple
That's
things
right.
of the check-ins, the text messages, the congratulations, the whatever it is, or even something as simple as just resharing somebody's LinkedIn post. Like, hey, we're looking to hire. Awesome! What a great organization. Like I can think of one of our clients that we've worked with that we did a lot of work around their organization, both on the asset non-asset side. Anytime that leadership team shares stuff, whether it's insight, whether it's something going on, or they celebrate one of their drivers, I try to reshare that because again, it's a great organization, and I want to make sure people, and I just didn't get their permission to say their name on the show. That's why I didn't say it. But I
No
just want to make
worries.
sure that people know what a dope organization it is. And so simple things like that show that it's not. I don't just want the check. I want to help you, and I want to see you succeed. And that's the mindset ultimately that I think it really goes into sales and marketing is what can I do? Yes, I got my legacy, but every one of my clients, how can I make them better? How can I, uh, again, build more value, provide more value for them? And what are the things that I can do to make sure that they know I always have their best interest in mind?
It's truly playing the long game, just like,
Yep.
working out. Like you never get to a point with your fitness that you're good. Like
No,
you can stop. You always have to
no.
keep doing it,
Oh,
right? And it's a
never,
long
never
game.
strong enough. Never strong enough.
Exactly, exactly. You're never like at what point are you in shape? Well, I mean, it depends. Like, am I
I
going to
mean,
keep doing the
I'm
work,
round,
right?
so round is a shape, right? So
Round is a shape.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's the little things. Have you ever read the book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect?
I have. There's also another one, very similar vein, called the slight edge. Same,
Yes,
same
yes,
concept.
exactly. Very
Same
similar
concept.
concept. And it's that idea of like, am I going to get up this morning and work out or am I going to sleep in?
Hmm.
Am I going to drink water today or am I going to drink soda? Right? Am I going to lower the portions or am I just going to eat until my
Hmm.
heart's content? Am I going to
Yep.
stop eating at 8 or am I going to have something while I'm watching a show at 9:30 or 10? Just whatever these little small things are. Like it's not going to impact you today. But if you do it over and over, it's going to impact you. Like if I go to the gym today and I stand in front of a mirror, nothing. There's not going to
Yep.
be any results, right? But I have to believe in that compound effect of doing the small things, doing the details daily, doing those
Mhm.
things on a consistent basis and getting that compound effect down the road, whether it be trying to get in shape, whether it be being successful in sales, or whether it be, whatever it might be in life, like
Building your
achieving the,
marriage, raising
yeah,
your kids,
like,
all those
like when
tiny
it, yeah,
things.
when is your marriage healthy? At what point is it healthy? Like, it's a daily thing you have to do. Your marriage is never healthy to where you can stop working on it. It
No.
has to be a continual thing daily. So I think having that mindset in sales is really helpful. And I think what you said too, I love that where you talk about bringing value to
Mhm.
your clients. Sometimes it's you're not going to benefit from it. Like you said, if you share a post for an opening or somebody needs help and you share or you offer some support or something like that, you might get nothing in return. But I'm a
Mhm.
big believer that if you continually provide value for enough people, that it returns back to you, especially in sales,
Absolutely.
especially in
It
business.
may not be one to one, but it will come back.
Exactly, exactly. My favorite quote from Zig Ziglar is this: "You can have anything you want in life if you help enough people and get what they want in life." And I love that. I think
Amen.
about that a lot, from not only from a sales perspective, from a leadership perspective. If you're a leader out there, the people that are under your responsibility, people who you think work for you, but you actually work for them,
Mhm.
those people, your job is to help them get everything that they want, whether it's more money, whether it's more time, whether it's prestige, whether it's experience, education, whatever it is. If you help them get what they want, then they're going to take care of you and you're going to get what you want as well. And I love that principle. One of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
So
something that
good.
when I'm in a leadership type role, is I want to coach and train and build up those individuals essentially so they could take my job, because then it makes my job a lot easier.
No doubt about
I'm
it.
just saying,
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
and
That's right.
and build them up knowing that if there's not going to be an opening like mine, that they're ready to take on that role somewhere else. And
Yep.
like creating, like, something that was impactful to me, this is kind of a tangent here. Have you ever been to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta?
I've not yet. No, but I'd like
Hi,
to go. Yeah.
highly recommend. And there's a couple. They have a couple coaching trees, like Bear Bryant, a couple, and
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of goes down
I
the
love coaching
lineage of
trees, by the
these.
way, because you
Yeah,
see exactly what you're
you see
talking
the
about.
lineage,
Yes.
and it's beautiful. And
Hmm.
I'm like, if I could do that from a leadership perspective, like, I would
Yeah.
love to be able to say, like, good friend of ours from Ward on the Street, Greg Roberts. Greg used to work for me,
Hmm.
and it was unfortunate how things went as far as him no longer being there. But I think ultimately it prepared him to be ready for the role he's in now, and he's kicking butt at
He's
Matson.
killing it.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and it's awesome. I love seeing it. And I'm
Yeah.
ecstatic for him, and hopefully one of these days we'll be able to figure out getting lunch together, because every time we try it falls apart.
Well,
But
we'll
it's the stuff
hopefully
like
see
that.
each
So
other at the Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge coming up April 30th, which I believe
yep,
Nikki's going to participate, and you're going to
that
come
is
have a few
yep.
drinks and encourage us.
Yeah, maybe a
So
couple.
that's very exciting to do that. No, I think you're right. I think and we'll talk about that in a minute here as we close out. But there's one saying that I always remember, and that is train people well enough that they can leave, but treat them well enough that they never want to.
Yep.
And if as a leader, if you're training people well enough to take your job or to go work somewhere else and then thrive or whatever, you're doing your job.
Yeah.
It doesn't do you any good to not train them or to try to hold on to them or keep them there. Train them well enough they can go do whatever and succeed because you're providing value for their life. Treat them
Yep.
well enough that they never want to. That they'll
Absolutely.
stick around, which is cool.
Absolutely.
So before we're finished here, talk about your podcast just real quick and where people
Hmm.
can connect with you.
Yep. So I do a couple podcasts. I do the Extra Mile podcast with presented by Metaphora. My co-host Adam Perlmutter. We talk things logistics. We do interviews. We talk about technology, business strategy, and leadership. I also do a strength podcast called Strength and Anger. I'm the strong one. Eric's the angry one. And that's been going on for a few years now. You can find all those on Apple, on Spotify, on Google Play, everywhere that you may podcast. Um, and there's always there's a lot more swearing in Strength and Anger than there is in the Extra Mile podcast. But and then as far as finding me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Robert Bain. You can email me rbane@metaphora.net. Metaphora.net. You can find me on social media at Bain316 is pretty much universal to find me on the regular socials.
That's awesome. And I actually knew your handle was Bain 316. I didn't know if that was a reference to John 316, like, Bain 316. But now that I know that it's March 16th, your birthday and all that, that actually makes a little more sense now. So
Well,
I'm glad,
so
glad
it
I know
was
that.
originally a nod to Austin 316 because I was a big wrestling fan, and people used to bring
Fair
signs when
enough.
I was in college in the stands, and they would have Bane 316. It had a meaning that I cannot share on the show, but it was always a good chuckle, and so I just kind of kept it up since then. So over 20 years now.
No, perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, man, it's great having you on the show. Before I let you leave here, a couple announcements on the way out. As we talked about, we got that Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge coming up April 30th in St. Louis. We're going to run 9 miles and 30 obstacles, but biggest thing is we're raising money for charity. So
Hmm.
go to our website and learn more about the event, betaconsultinggroup.com/events. And then also be sure to come back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Our good buddy, Coleman Ruffin's going to be on the show
Yeah,
tomorrow. He's the director of operations at Talent Solvers, and he's kind of a hidden gem. A lot of people don't know about Coleman. This guy's one of the sharpest guys I know. He's very
dude, he's
articulate.
he's an assassin, man. I love him.
He is, man. I love it. So I'm excited about that. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about the relationship between sales and operations, which is really critical. It's important for the sales team to understand operations and vice versa. It's going to be
Hmm.
going to be a good conversation for sure.
Yep.
Tomorrow, right here at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, it's Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Robert, thanks for coming, man. I'm so glad you came on the show. We're going to have you on
Thank
the
you,
show
brother.
again for sure.
Appreciate you having me on. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Everybody else out there, have a fabulous Wednesday, and we will see you here tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Central. Peace. We'll see you.